All right. Mary McGreevy does something that a lot of people do. She reads obituaries, but it's what she cultivates from those obituaries and the desire to share those findings with others that led her to create tips from dead people and corral an oppressive social following in so doing. So, Mary, thank you for being on the Dying to Know More podcast. I'm excited to talk with you.
I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. When did you start reading obituaries?
My mother was briefly the obituaries editor for my hometown paper in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, when I was a kid.
Okay.
And I don't have specific memories of when I started paying attention to obituaries, but it was around that time when I started paying attention to obituaries. And as you can imagine, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, in the early 80s, the obituaries were then, and largely still are, small little items in the classified ad section, essentially, of a newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a natural gossip, both then and now, I was always a little bit more interested in the things that weren't said, the things that, between the lines, the questions, the stories. And then I've lived in a lot of different cities since then. And in every city, I would read the obituaries in the newspaper. This is kind of prior to online obituaries
Right.
being the main forum for it, and collect good ones or ones that I thought were different. And then at some point a couple of years ago, I was in the middle of a big stressful work project, and
Yeah.
I'm not really a creative person in the sense that I don't sing or knit or do anything like that. And I thought I need an artistic project of some kind just to sort of relieve the stress. And I pulled out this folder of obituaries from that I had collected over the years. And I started to think about why I had selected some of them and what they meant to me. And I thought, I wonder if like other people would find this as interesting as I do.
Right.
And I've always been sort of a career wanderer, so I knew that part of what drew me to these was evaluating like the choices that other people made and then
Mm-hmm.
reflecting back on my own choices. So it was a personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just kind of whimsically decided to start posting and see if anybody cared.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's from there. So that's a long answer to the question, but basically my mom.
Okay. That is like the coolest job,
Mm.
I think. The obituary editor
Hmm.
job. That sounds really intriguing. Okay, so let's talk about it then, because I've been a lifelong obituary reader too. We used to read them in the newspaper at the kitchen table with my parents and
Hmm.
at breakfast. And I've like when I finally canceled my print paper subscription, like the online's, how do you feel about print versus digital obituaries, the experience?
Oh my gosh, we could if we could do a whole separate hour just on the business of obituaries. I
Yeah.
know way more than a person should know about this.
Like what?
So, um, well, I think I'm a big fan of newspapers, and I
Yeah.
think that I wish that I could see a future where obituaries were still housed within newspapers,
Hmm.
because I believe in the historical record. I believe in making those places community hubs, but it's not really what's happening. So, first of all, newspapers have made some mistakes over the years. They have relegated obituaries to the paid section, just like classified ads. And
Hmm.
so, just like Craigslist took classified ads away from them, and now Facebook Marketplace and other places are taking classified ads away from Craigslist, so too will happen with obituaries, because
Hmm.
you have free sites, entrepreneurial startup sites where obituaries are free. And then you have, when you go to a funeral home, if someone that you love has died and you're the one taking care of everything, there's this enterprise level software that all these funeral companies, cremation companies use, and they want the obituary clicks. And so it's part of their package that they say, here's our $10,000 package. And you can right away, you can set up the obituary online, unlimited this, lots of photos or whatever. So it's, in some ways, it's a better experience than the newspapers. It doesn't look great. They're all like
Right.
flickering candles and greenery, and it, to me, it just
Yeah.
looks stupid. But but it is an easier experience for the consumer than going to the newspaper and finding out, like we did with my mother-in-law, that her obituary that she had self-written, essentially pre-written, was going to be $1,200 for a day. And so, and that was in the Dallas Morning News in 2015, and it hasn't really changed all that much. So there's all kinds of like shifting technology behind the scenes with obituaries. And then the big player in the market is legacy.com.
Yeah.
And their business model was built on being the back end for newspaper obituaries. And so that's
Okay.
still their bread and butter. But
Okay.
they've read the writing on the wall, and now they're pivoting to being back end providers of obituaries for funeral homes. They want to
Funeral
get
home.
in there and compete with that enterprise software. And
Okay.
it's in the fine print. But if you're a consumer, you can actually now go to Legacy and pay $99 and get your obituary up there. It's just, I don't know. It's a kind of the Wild West. And I guess where I am right now, I advocate for any space that allows people to tell the full story. There is a newspaper in Berkeley, California. It's a community newspaper called the Berkeley Side that someone
Okay.
told me about, so I went to check it out. They decided or editorial business decision to make obituaries free, and their subscriptions have gone up. So this is what I want to scream to
Wow.
newspapers, that if you make this a community hub and you don't have it as a classified ad, there's a chance that you will grow readership, because people want that community
Yeah.
space to tell these stories and to share these stories. And if you go to the Berkeley side and look at their obituaries, they're great. Like,
Yeah.
they're free. So people are telling good stories. They're putting in details that they wouldn't have paid for
Right.
otherwise.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of the state of it right now.
Yeah. So how many obituaries do you come through in a day, do you think?
Do I comb through? Well, um, that's a good question. When I was actually getting the physical newspaper, I would basically read them all every
Right.
day in the cities that I lived in, including like from New York all the way to South Texas to now where I live in Minnesota. Um, but now, because of the number of followers, there's a couple 100,000 followers around the world essentially for this account that I've been doing, both combined TikTok, Instagram, Substack, and people are sending me stuff. I probably get 30 to 50 a week from people.
Wow.
And they're not all ones that I would do a video on, but I really pride myself on reading all of them and responding, because I just love the stories so much.
Yeah.
So that's kind of mainly where I'm getting them now. I do have the newspapers that I like, their websites where I go check out kind of what the latest obituaries are, and I still look at the ones in my community. But the incoming ones now are probably the main area where I'm finding them.
Interesting. Okay. I was going to ask, if you have your secret locations where you go mining for them, but I wouldn't ask you to share. Um,
Oh,
so I know you say like the main filters are they can't be celebrities or famous people, and it has to get to the heart of a person. In terms of that part, the getting to the heart of the person, is there ever a threshold that you won't cross in terms of one that you would share? Like, like I know you talk about, some are savage, or, if it's too mean, or if it's, but it seems like I watched when you said you've covered addiction and you've covered children, but is there any realm that you're like, I'm not going to go there, I don't want to share that?
hmm. If I feel like the obituary is well written, or I don't want to set the bar too high. If the obituary is interesting to me and how I think about life, that's really the main filter. Then I would say I haven't really rejected for any of those reasons. There have been ones that are like so negative and so viral that I almost feel like they have a life on their own without me.
Yeah.
So I've shared definitely a few of those, and it gets a lot of attention. But I don't feel like I have to share every single one that comes
Right.
across, comes into my email or DMs or whatever. An interesting question lately has been politics. Like, sometimes you'll have obituaries that mention specific politicians, pro or con, and in this historical moment that we're in, it's like it's been an interesting thought process for me to say to myself, like, is there something that I wouldn't share if someone were glorifying X or Y politician
Right.
in an obituary? I haven't really come like face to face with a problem with that. I've tried to make this space, um, a room that everybody feels comfortable in, but I also try not to really edit stuff.
Yeah.
The only things I really edit out of obituaries when I'm reading them, or if it's like way, way too long, I'll just cut out like the survived by all the names of the relatives or whatever.
Hmm.
So yeah, I have a feeling that might come up, the politics thing, and I'll have to figure out what my filter is on that. But um, I feel like empathy has become kind of a dirty word in our world, and I don't want it to be. I
Hmm.
feel like these stories are linking me to that person. And then if I share it to 200,000 people, now we're all linked.
Yeah.
And
That's
what
beautiful. That
are
is
what
such a
are we
beautiful
if we
idea.
don't have the ability to listen to each other's stories? Like that seems like that's what's going to get us out of this really hot time that we're in, and
Hmm.
I hope that I can have a role in that. I also just want them to be fun, good stories.
Yeah. That's awesome. You've stated on your Substack that obituaries convinced you that we are all so much more than our resume and that little things are the big things. Explain what you mean by that.
Ugh, if I could be known for nothing else, honestly, this is it. So I have had great jobs through my career,
Hmm.
but I never really felt like I found my thing. Like, you know how some people just know from
Hmm.
early on that they want to be a whatever,
Right.
bricklayer, doctor, whatever they want to be. And I never really had that. I knew I had a lot to offer, and I knew I was good at the jobs that I had, and I've had good jobs. I've
Yeah.
contributed a lot. But when you tell kids to find their passion, what color is your parachute was a big book when I was in
Yeah.
college that people read,
Remember that.
and I never had it. Like I was always left thinking, what about those of us who are generalists who just want to do a good job at what we're doing, but maybe the things that we truly love are outside of the workspace. And
Hmm.
yet there's this pressure to identify your soul in a way with your work. And so when I would read obituaries like in the New York Times, it just felt deflating to me because it was essentially like pulled from LinkedIn. It was
Mm.
oh, accolades, awards, promotions, went from this to this to this to this, recognized nationally. And it's like,
Yeah.
I'm happy for people when they find that. I certainly wish I would have. But I feel like so wholeheartedly that there's more to people than that. And not only that, when you get to the end of life, that stuff fades away. And truly, what is important was the fact that you had a Diet Coke every day, or the fact that you hitchhiked across the country, or you were a deadhead, or whatever. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I I have been convinced through this whole social media experiment, like that's what's important. And I
Hmm.
get so frustrated when people feel like they're less than because they don't have that impressive resume. I read obituaries all the time of people who have impressive resumes. It feels a little cold.
Yeah.
Or I read obituaries all the time of people who are like, you might charitably call them absolute messes, hot messes. And yet the love is oozing from it. So in
Yeah.
my mind, like, who wins?
Right.
Obviously, it's the person who was loved and loved back. And
Right.
even if they were eccentric or they didn't have money or whatever. So that's been like a framing feeling for me through this whole thing. And if I could give any 22-year-old the advice that I wish I would have had, it would be to say, here's my data set. What I'm telling you is your job does not equal happiness.
Right.
And you are more than that. If you're struggling to find your passion or whatever phrase you want to use, just try stuff and don't worry about the end result, because the fear of not being impressive or the fear of failure keeps so many people from trying random things or being happy with what you might call a small life. And I just want to, like, if I could disabuse people of all of that, my work is done.
That is amazing. I feel like you just became everybody's mother when you said that.
I would love that. That's awesome.
Do you write obituaries, or have you been asked to?
I have been asked to help with friends who have to write obituaries. I'm
Okay.
not necessarily crafting them, but helping them feel creative or helping them feel like they can stray from what when you Google how to write an obituary and it
Mhm.
comes up with these templates that you've seen a million times that are sort of sterile and dry and kind of boring. um, I can help people move away from that a little bit. I haven't written them myself, or my parents are still alive, and
Yeah.
I haven't had that kind of tragedy of a young death, that I've been responsible for the obituary. So I wouldn't say I'm like, I am giving a seminar next year for a library in California. They asked me to do a Zoom seminar on how to write an obituary for their patrons, and I'm like, sure, because I mean, I have so many opinions that I
Yeah.
can easily craft, an agenda for that. But
Right.
it's not like people have said, "Can I pay you to write an obituary?" That's not really me.
Who's writing your obituary?
I have notes,
Do you?
and maybe I'll write my own. I would kind of like to do that.
Would you?
I have on
I
my
kind of feel
on
like
the.
that would be the only way to do it. Like, I don't feel
I
like,
know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think I would say in my notes, I would say I have three daughters who are very like smart and funny and just clever. I would say add in what you want. Like, I think
yeah,
that's kind of fun too. So
yeah,
here's what I want to say, add in what you want.
yeah. I like that. Uh, is there, is it, it may not even be possible given how many you've read, but is there one obituary in your entire career of reading obituaries that stands out to you, or that is most memorable or
I
unforgettable?
was asked this question recently because I was putting together a proposal for a book, and that was one of the questions that the people who are helping me like go through this process was asking. And I came up with two. There is a woman named Renee Corin. I can send you the link. Her
Yeah.
obituary went viral, which I don't tend to like traffic as much in viral obituaries because they get so much love on their own.
Hmm.
But it's so good and so like interesting to me and clever that I probably read it once a week just because it's so well written. And then there's this other obituary that I featured on my page once, and she is not famous. It did not go viral. This is a woman named Trish. And basically, what her family did was they gave some basic biographical details, but then there was a paragraph that said, "Here's what Trish loved." And it was this long bullet like list of, sorry, that's my dog, list of things that she loved, which included things like David Sedaris, square shaped bullet points, the long and lean trouser from the
Funny.
Gap, Capri candles, like this random list, probably 20 things. And then the next paragraph was, and here's what Trish hated. And it was a similar list of things. Hard butter, colons, I think, just this crazy list. And I thought, like, if I were to choose between sitting next to someone at a dinner party, someone who's like a CEO,
Yeah.
and talking about like KPIs and whatever, or sitting next to someone like Trish talking about like hard butter and square shaped bullet points, like 100%, that's where I'm going. That's success
Yeah.
to me. Like, when I say the little things are the big things, this is the perfect example of it. Like,
Yeah.
this is the kind of story that her kids can go back to when they're feeling their griefiest
Hmm.
and smile.
Yeah.
And you can't do that with a lot of obituaries, but in this case, you certainly could. So I use that. I've given some keynote speeches on like stuff that I've learned from obituaries, and I always use Trish in there. And I just simply read the list of what she loved and what she hated, and it brings the house down.
That's awesome.
I'll
That's
send
so
you those
cool.
links.
Yeah, do. So this may be gauche to even ask, but how do you feel about when they don't include the cause of death?
Hmm.
Is that there's
Um,
always nods or like hints
right.
sometimes, like when it comes to like, send memorials to whatever foundation or
Right.
whatever, but or
Or
sudden,
people use cliches like um, lost a battle with mental illness,
yeah,
or
yeah,
couldn't get on top of their demons for
yeah.
addiction, that kind of thing.
But
I
even the ones
mean,
that just don't mention anything,
right.
like, don't you
And then
kind of
you see at the bottom, yeah, it's like, right, right. Like,
does that bug? It's always kind of bugged me because I'm like I just want to know. Maybe I'm nosy. Like maybe I'm nosy. I guess that's
I
what it
don't,
is.
well, of course I'm nosy for sure. I don't love it because I feel like the truth in all its forms gets you down the grief path faster. So
Mm,
it's one thing for us to read it and feel frustrated by the fact that they wouldn't say anything like that. It's another thing for the family, like, why are we trying to airbrush something? Like,
yeah.
who, we're all, literally all of us, including celebrities, are going to be forgotten in a couple of generations. It's like
Mhm.
what we're doing right now, living, is a blink.
Yeah.
So why not tell the truth? Why not, like, make, open the windows on someone's life? Because I feel like it really does help the people to not feel shame or to not hide things in an obituary. I mean, I'm a huge advocate for telling the hard things. And even like some of those, you mentioned the scorched earth obituaries. I've read a few of those on TikTok or Instagram, and I'm always like bracing for an onslaught of comments that would say, "Well, why would you even read that? Like, you're talking shit about someone, and that's not nice. And why would you do that after they're dead?" The the vast majority of commenters, it's exactly the opposite. Like, this is how obituaries should be. You have to tell the truth. It's
Hmm.
so much better. Everyone has a voice. If they were an abuser, if they were this or that, like, it's their right to tell their story. And I agree with that. Even though, like, I'm a polite person and I'm like, treat people kindly in my daily life and stuff, in these obituaries, I believe it. Like, let's tell the
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah. Totally. So where do you see tips from dead people in like the next 1, 3, 5 years? Where are you heading with this?
I have no idea. I would love it if this book thing worked out. That would be incredible because I'm not really a writer. I've never considered myself a writer, but I I love the fact that, like, maybe I could be responsible for curating stories that changed people's lives. I get so many comments that say, the way you reported this, or told the story, essentially changed the way I thought about death, changed the way I thought about life. And I can't even, like, I can't even believe it. This was uh, truly just an experiment. Like, when I said to my daughters, I think I might start a TikTok and, like, share what some good obituaries and why I liked them and what it means for me as a person. And they were just like if a cringe could be audible, that's kind of what they were. Um,
Excuse me.
so you can see, like, the origins of it. There was nothing super philosophical about it. It was just an experiment to try and see if anyone was interested or if it felt good to me. And I could never have, and by the way, my daughters are my biggest fans now. So we all got over that
Oh.
moment, but I could never have envisioned this many followers. I could never have envisioned being asked to give speeches to hospice groups or libraries or wellness conventions, or I spoke at a conference of women creatives, entrepreneurs in
Mhm.
California this year, and that was maybe one of the best professional experiences of my life. So I would
That's
love to
so
keep
cool.
speaking. I would love to write. I just want to keep making the videos. Yeah, and if there is someone out there who wanted to collaborate in some way, I think that would be really fun too. So,
That's awesome. All right. Well, so we're to the point where I have 3 questions I ask everybody that I interview. So,
okay.
um, what has been the single most, and you may have just actually answered it. What has been the single most impactful or transformative experience you've had since you started Tips from Dead People?
I think that, let's see, since I started, transformative. Well, there's like the general transformative experience of seeing posting a video and seeing the follower count grow to, I don't know, like 2 million people watch a video, and then the next day I have 10,000 more followers. Like, that's insane to me. That's incredibly transformative. But I do think probably like big picture, most impact on me personally is when I gave my first speech and I saw people laughing and crying because of the excerpts and the stories that I was reading, and I was connecting them to how this experience has changed me
Yeah.
and how authentic storytelling can change all of us. It just felt like people needed to hear this. They needed permission to think that they were okay as is. And all these stories really affirm that for us. So that's probably the most impactful, is when that first time I gave a speech and I saw, like, okay, this is not just like hokey, trite, like aphorisms. This is actually helping us all.
Yeah. What has this project, this tips from dead people project, what has it taught you about living?
Probably number one, you're more than your job.
Yeah.
That what you think is going to be your worst chapter probably is not your worst chapter. That's another one. Um, all of it kind of gets wrapped up in this phrase, the little things are the big things. And I keep thinking of other ways to say that, because I don't want it to be hokey, but it is so, so true that we prevent ourselves from enjoying the moment and the tiny little things that make up our daily lives
Mm-hmm.
because we're so worried about chasing this, that, and the other thing, when in the end it should be the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you afraid to die? Why or why not?
I think I probably at one point was, but this experience of reading thousands of obituaries has healed me in so many ways that I probably can't even articulate, but this is one of them. I It's not that I'm numb to death. It's like this whole experience has made it much easier for me to think of this as like, well, again, this is a blink. Let's make it the best we can. And
Yeah.
then cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers to all of it. And I know it'll be hard, and I may be in for a rude awakening. And I've had some close friends die young in my life. And so there have been some trauma, but
Mm.
I think all these stories have really had the effect on me of like, it's going to happen to all of us, might as well enjoy it.
Yeah. All right. Well, listeners, I will put all of Mary's social handles as well as those links. Please do send me those links to those 2 obituaries in the show notes. Mary, I cannot thank you enough. I've really enjoyed speaking with you today.
I'm so glad these are great questions, and I'm really, really happy that we got a chance to talk.
Likewise. All right. Thanks for being on.
My pleasure.
All right. Bye-bye. If you like this episode of Dying to Know More, be sure to give it a like and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode.